Hello everybody, hello, hiya, it's Lindsay and I am just back with another video, this time focusing, as the description says, on adhesives. So just before I start on adhesives, just a really quick update about the catalogues that I was posting out. I've posted a load of catalogues out, but I had people with an annual one and I put the seasonal one in as well, okay, the other one, and they wanted €9 to post the two together. So after I went to the post office with all my lovely catalogues all parcelled up as separate items, so I had to kind of take them all back, reparcel them all up. I ran out of envelopes, so I've then gone back and got some more. So I'm just about up to date with everybody's catalogue requests, but if you want one, or you have a friend who wants one, or you want to pass this information on, just get them to give me a shout. I've still got quite a few here that I can get posted out, but I will you'll get them in two different parcels or two different envelopes. So one will be the annual one like this one, and one will be the seasonal one. There's also an information sheet in there as well that you should have, that just tells you about how to order, what you get when you order with me, when you become a customer of mine, that kind of thing. So that's all in there as well with the catalogue, okay? So anyway, back to adhesives. So I thought I'd just go through some of the things on this page. Now, most of these things, so in the catalogue, when you browse through it, you've got your stamps, papers, your colours, ribbons, all the embellishments, all that kind of thing. And that's all personal. It's all up to you, what you like, what your taste is, what you prefer, you know, what somebody loves. One set, somebody else, that's not their thing. They prefer, you know, some people like the muted colour, some people like the bright, some people prefer hand-drawn type stamps, some people prefer the other ones, some people like florals. So anyway, it's all personal. When it comes to some of the other things, adhesives, ink types and things and tools and that kind of thing, there's a bit of nerdy information, I'm going to call it, like technical nerdy information about why you might use one and not another. And if you haven't used them before, you might not quite know some of the things about them or what they look like or how you use them. So this is really just a basics video. Apologies if I'm teaching people to suck eggs here. Obviously, if it's not for you, that's fine. But it might just help some people understand what some of them are, if you've not been crafting for long maybe, and why you might use some and not others on different types of materials within your project, okay? So I'm just going to go down the list kind of in the way that it is on the adhesives page. It's number 127 in the annual catalogue. And go first, I'm starting off with Stampin' Dimensionals. So dimensionals are foam adhesive, so it provides height, okay? So they're Stampin' Up do just one height of foam dimensionals. They do, some companies you can buy different thicknesses from, but these are just the one kind of height foam pieces, but they're really, really handy. And if you want something thicker, you can double them up just to make a double height background. But it's, say if you wanted to adhere a cutout stamp design or a die cut or a piece or something onto your project. So if you had a project and you want to put on top a little piece that's raised up above it, you can use foam adhesive. And one of the things Stampin' Up does is the dimensionals. They come in two different sizes, mini ones and the main normal ones. And they also come in black. I haven't got any black ones at the moment, but they come in black. And in the normal ones here, there's 300 pieces. In the mini ones, there's 720 pieces. And in the black, you get a combination of normal and mini ones in a black pack of 480 pieces. So there's plenty there. And when you open them up, it's like these mini ones here. You see, I've used just one on this page, okay? So you can see that they're hexagon shape, okay? So they're all hexagon. That makes them really, really handy for... and these are tiny mini ones. I'll show you one to show you what the size is like. So that's it on my finger there. It's really, really small. So these are great for small die cut pieces and small cutout pieces or layers on your project. They're really, really handy. They're effectively double-sided sticky. So you stick one down and then there's a paper layer you peel off and the other side's sticky. Okay, so really basic info there. But that is your adhesive on the Stampin' Dimensionals. They're great. They stick really well as well. They wouldn't hold really, really heavyweight stuff, okay, but they'll hold card to card, paper to card, that kind of thing. There's loads and loads of them in there, and also when you use them, there's actually an outside layer all around the edge, and I cut that up and use that up as well. So you can use it as strips, or I don't know if you can see this here. I'll try and pull it off. You can use it as strips, like there. It will come off all the edge will come off as a long strip, or you can just cut it up with scissors and continue to use it like the dimensionals. So don't waste those bits. So that's the mini ones. The Stampin' ones, which are not the mini ones, are just a little bit bigger. So they're basically the same, but just a bit bigger. Okay, I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. But like I said, you can double them up if you want double height as well. But they're really handy. They're definitely a basic to have in your craft stash anyway. And I use them all the time. And the black ones are good if you want to adhere something that's on a black or dark cardstock and you don't want the white foam edges. Some people have a preference to black, so that's the black ones there. Number 4, foam adhesive strips. Okay, I don't have any to show you, but basically the same premise. It's sheets of strip adhesive. So it's the same stuff as the dimensionals, but just in long strips. And you can use it in a variety of ways. It gives you a longer row. So if you want to really raise something up, there's a longer strip without having to put individual little dots or stamping hexagons on there. You can use that. You can also use it for what they call shaker cards. So a shaker card is when you have a clear front of acetate, there's foam tape all the way round, and in the middle there's some sort of shaker item, whether it be glitter or little tiny embellishments or something like that inside the shaker, and that's a particular style of card. And then they also do foam adhesive sheets, so they do full sheets of adhesive, okay? That's the foam adhesive sheets. And then they also do full adhesive sheets. So that is not foam, that is just double-sided sticky full sheets. And that's useful for die cutting if you want the full back of the die cut to be covered in adhesive. So you can put the adhesive onto the die cut really, really easily by peeling up the top layer of the adhesive, putting down your die cut and pulling it up, and there you have your die cut fully backed in adhesive. And then the cling adhesive, unless you've got the clear mount stamps from Stampin' Up before, you don't need to know what that is. It's really just a way of turning stamps into the same as the cling stamps. So when I showed you the stamps the other day, which was, these ones were cling, these red rubber ones with the adhesive back. There used to be clear mount ones which were the same as these, but they didn't have the sticky back, and so that adhesive is purely to make those more sticky. Mini glue dots. Mini glue dots are these. Mini glue dots come in a box like this. There's 300 of them on the roll, and they come as a tape roll like this. And when you peel back the top layer, I'm not sure you can really see those, but they are little tiny glue dots. So great again for small items. So if you wanted to put small items onto a project, little die cut items or something, they're just a little mini glue dot. It involves no wet glue, there's no messing about, there's no smudging of it or anything like that. So then you can also use it to hold down ribbon, and it will also hold down some of the smaller embellishments that they do that are slightly heavier, that you don't want to wait around for a wet glue to dry for. So I'll see if I can find something that I mean. So if you don't want to have to kind of put wet glue down and then wait for one of the embellishments to sit on it and dry, maybe something like the little tiny leaves that they do in the little tubs, something like here, little shapes, fun little flower resin shapes or something. Now they're actually adhesive backed, but if you buy the loose ones, oh, they're spring twiglets, something like this, the spring twiglets, little silver pieces of sprigs sprig trinkets even on there, and then you can put them on with glue dots. So otherwise you'd have to wait ages for a wet glue to set to hold that kind of heavier embellishment. Okay, now a lot of the embellishments that Stampin' Up do actually have their own adhesive on. So things like the rhinestones, these are champagne rhinestones here. You get small ones, medium ones and larger ones. There's 440 on that sheet there, and they are all already self-adhesive back. So they already have like these glue dots on them in the different sizes of the embellishment, and all of these ones really on the sheets, all of them are self-adhesive. So a lot of them are already self-adhesive, the pearls and things like that. The ones that are loose, like these ones here, where you can get there's 2,300 pieces of different pearls in that kit there, and there's the loose flower flourishes, all of these kind of loose ones here, and sequins and things like that. They don't have adhesive on, so that's what you would use glue dots for, or the heavier kind of little loose accessories like on there. Okay, so a lot of them are adhesive and they've got the glue dots on already, but the way you use those is really, really easy. And if you can just place them, if you're on a project, you're putting ribbon down on a project, you could just bring your dot to the paper, push it down, and they're stuck on the dot. So then if you want to put your ribbon, for example, onto the page, you can stick it with a dot, that's now stuck, and then you can glue down your layer or something and pull the same round and do the same on the other side first and pull it down, and then that will stick your ribbon down. So those glue dots are perfect for ribbon, and again, no wet glue involved. So again, with ribbon it can get really messy if you try and use wet glue. Now you can use wet glue with ribbon, but it will go through the fabric and of the ribbon and kind of squidge through, and again, you have to kind of sit there and hold it, wait for it to dry before you can move it, otherwise it'll just come away from the backing there that you've put that on. So glue dots really, really great. Like I said, 300 in a box, and they're a brilliant alternative, and no major height. They're quite flat, so they're not got height like the foam adhesive. Tear and tape adhesive is just a standard sort of double-sided tape, basically. The reason it's called tear and tape is that some of the strong red clear tapes that you get, the very strong stuff, has quite a plasticky sort of backing on it. You can't rip, you have to cut it. The tear and tape means that you can put it down and pull it back and rip the backing off to make it really easily put on. Stampin' seal is a bit like these, what I'd call snail glues. So it's a bit like a Tipex mouse or something like that. The end comes off and you've got adhesive on the bottom here. And there's a normal one, which is, this is the normal one here. There's actually 16.4 yards or 15 meters of glue on this. It's really got quite a lot of glue in it. And they do refills for them. So you can buy the actual Stampin' seal, and then you just buy the refills for inside. So instead of having to rebuy the whole plastic kit, you just buy the actual refill that goes inside. So again, it saves on things like waste and plastic waste and stuff like that. And you can also get the Stampin' Seal Plus, which is a stronger version of this. So this would be for your normal matting and layering of cardstock. So if you had your matting and layering, you can simply snail this along. So if I was layering this, I would pull this down, and I don't know if you can see that in the light there, but there's now a line of adhesive all the way along there, and it's literally as easy as putting that mat down there, pressing that, and that's now stuck. That's it. So you would do obviously that around your four sides. I'm not doing that now because I'm showing you something else with this piece, but that's stuck your card. Okay, it's an instant bond. Okay, so you put it down, that's it, instant. Does mean you can't move it around. Okay, so if you're somebody that likes to pop your layers down and kind of give them a bit of a wiggle, I'll go into that later. That's the liquid glue option you want, because that can't be moved now. So if you pulled that off, it would start. Oh, actually, I'm getting a little bit of movement, so you possibly could recover that little bit, but really in the main, once you've put that down, that's it down. Okay, so it is an instant stick, no wetting, and a stuck, and that's provided even more stickiness on that ribbon as well. So again, great for ribbon there. You can use that for, if you wanted to just, instead of glue dots, you can also use that for ribbon as well. So it's another option for ribbon. The stronger version is more for when you're making things like boxes or 3D projects, maybe making one of the pillow boxes with the die cuts, or you're making just a box to hold a card or something like that. You'd want the stronger version of that. It's a stronger layer of adhesive. One trick of this one as well, just to kind of show you, I'll just use my scrap from the other day up here, is that on this, particularly on the really sticky one of these, is that the glue is, you know, on a kind of on a roll, but it acts as like almost like a one piece of glue all the way around. Sometimes when you pull down, if you try and lift the mouse, as it were, or whatever you want to call it, up off the page, you can see that, you probably can't see that here, but that glue remains partially stuck to the paper. And this is not the stronger one. So if I'm trying to pull that off the paper there, sometimes you get a bit of glue that pulls, and that now leaves the next part of your roll without any adhesive on that on the end there. So next time you come, there's nothing there, because it's pulled it away a little bit and it's gone down further down because it's pulled the adhesive away. I don't know if I'm describing that very well, but the stronger one of these, it does that even more so. So the glue likes to stay as one piece. It doesn't just, if you pull your mouse upwards, it tries and pulls away. The glue tries to cling onto itself, so it pulls the glue away from the roll. So when you're using it, the best thing to do is to pull it down and just take it off to the side. So pull it down, just move it to the side a little bit, and it'll cut that glue across, okay? So that helps break the adhesive layer on that. So I'll just put the top back on there. and upside down, and then put that to the side. Okay, so that's your kind of what I'd call it, snail glue or whatever you want to call that, but it's called Stampin' Seal. Okay, number 12 we've got on this page is heat and stick powder. Now I'll demonstrate this another time in full really, but this would be more for it says it's for gilded leafing embellishment. You can also use it for glitters and things like that as well. And it's a powder that you heat up like same as kind of like an embossing powder. Now you don't heat it and heat it and heat it. You need to just heat it till it's just melted and then take the heat away. So you would use something like a heat gun like this. So this would be a plug-in heat gun that you'd put on to the cardstock. You'd put your powder where you wanted it to go. So if you want it to be in a specific design, like a stamp design, you would use a Versamark ink pad, which is the clear sticky ink. Dip your stamp in that and stamp on your page, cover with your heat and stick powder and knock off the excess. I'll do a video on this later so you can see it in detail, but you would then use the heat gun, heat up the project till you just see the heat and stick powder just start to melt, take your heat away, and then you can sprinkle over your gilded leafing flakes or your glitter or whatever it is you want it to put on there, and that will stick into there. So it's quite good for a set layer. It's quite good for a larger layer of like glitter. So if you wanted to do a full part of the stamp, for instance, stamp design as with glitter, instead of having to try and get a wet glue and fill in all the area and maybe it'd be a bit patchy and a bit uneven with the glue, that would be a much better option. So if you've got a large area that you need to put glitter or gilded leafing embellishment on, that is what you want to go for. Multi-purpose liquid glue is number 13, and not unlucky for some. I love this glue. Okay, I actually love this glue. I think it's the best glue probably I've ever used, and I would always default to this. If I could choose only one adhesive type to have, it would be this one, because I think it's really flexible. You can use it obviously for things like ribbon and stuff, but as we've said, it does need then time to dry to bond, so it's not really the best for things like that. But it's for things like matting and layering, just your general card making, it's brilliant. All you need to do is use the fine tip end. There is a broad tip, and it comes with like an inbuilt spatula or something that you can smoosh the glue across the page into a wider area. I almost have never used that. It's nearly always just this fine tip. It's a really fine, tiny line of adhesive that you need. You only really need to do it so that you can just see it, and I would run literally, that is really thin, so thin you can hardly see it, and it's not even constant, it just dotted. That is more than enough. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's more than enough for what you need to put a piece of paper to card. The thing about this glue is it's really strong once it's dry, but if you leave it exposed, if I was to leave that glue exposed now, it wouldn't dry hard, it dries tacky. Okay, so it doesn't dry, it dries tacky, which means you can use it for being removable glue, which is what it says on the back of it, it's permanent or removable bond. So if you left that to dry now and it would dry tacky, you could use that as a removable glue, but obviously as card makers we don't really use that, but it provides a really great bond. So if I put that down now while it's wet, I won't leave it to dry. That tiny thin line as well dries so quick because it's only tiny. And then that's it. That paper's stuck down there and it won't move, okay? Now, the only tip I'd say is that, so while it's wet, so I'm peeling that away now, while that glue's wet, you do have wiggle room. So if you're someone that wants to put your matting layering, which just means you're layering of your paper and card down, and you want to move it around a little bit to make sure it's squared up, the liquid glue is a really great option, because instead of that permanent bond like with the snail, that kind of glue, or with the tear and tape, this glue allows you just a tiny bit of wiggle time if you haven't got it quite straight with like your 90-degree corners or something. So it's really great for that. Once it's dry, that's it. It's really strong. It's a really strong glue. It doesn't, I've used it over the years, it doesn't seem to then come away. Even years later, when I've found a card in the bottom of a drawer, years later, that glue still stays strong. So it's a really great glue. So it allows you that wiggle time, and you really just need that tiniest bit, like a kind of like just a seam of glue. The only thing I'd say is, because it dries sticky, is that if you were putting down a layer of paper, I would go inwards a little bit, just come in a little bit. Don't go right up to the edges with it, because when you press it down, because it's liquid, sometimes it can come out over the edge if you've gone too close. And if you do that and there was a tiny blob of glue, just like say that's come over the edge of the paper, that glue dries tacky. So if you're using glitter on your project, or if you're just handling your project and you've got, you know, a bit of dust or dirt on your hands, that will adhere to that glue because it's dried sticky. So when you're just doing your matte line, just keep it inside the edges, and you'll find then that you don't have that problem of it kind of squelching over the sides, or whatever you want to call it, doing there. Okay, so that's just an example of how you can use some of the different adhesives there. There is one more thing, which is the fine tip glue pen. So that is, I've got a probably even finer end than this one, and that is a glue that dries clear as well as this. They both dry clear. This dries clear too, but it dries clear and hard, so it's more of a traditional glue in the way. It's not, doesn't dry tacky, it dries hard. But that's for small embellishments and small die cuts, tiny little areas. But also it would be something like if you wanted to make stars in the sky or snow falling or something like that in your project. So if you had an area where you wanted to just do tiny stars in like and they said maybe it's like a night of navy background, you could get the fine tip glue pen, not this one, the fine tip glue pen, and just dot where you want like your stars to be, and then throw glitter onto that and knock off the excess, and it will stick onto just those areas. This glue, although it would work, because it dries tacky, again, you've always got that risk that there's a bit of dirt or hair or something will stick onto your project because it's tacky. So I wouldn't use that for kind of that kind of like dots in the night sky or snowfall or something. I would use the fine tip glue pen. Things like edging of leaves, if you do a project that's got leaves on it, maybe holly leaves, and you want a frosty look, you want to just go around the edges of it and then throw on your glitter, that kind of thing, really great for that. And sequins and things, again, you can use the fine tip glue pen, you can use liquid glue for sequins, but you just be aware that you've got to then let it dry, so you can't be working on the project around if you're going to knock those sequins, because the glue would need time to dry before you can, because you move those. Whereas if you use the glue dots with things like sequins, you put them down and they're basically stuck down, so they're not really going to move too much, even if you did happen to just knock them a little bit. So that's kind of an overview anyway of glue. I hope I haven't rabbited too on long about adhesive, but it is kind of a pet thing of mine where I really do this particular one, the Tombow multi glue is great. I use that a lot. And I would say, and the other one would be the dimensionals, which is why I still have hold of these even from ages ago. I think the packaging is actually different. This is from an old order a long time ago. I think that's more in the black and white now, the same as those glue dots. But really, they would be my two staple things that I would always use all the time. And then the pen, I've started using this a little bit more, but these two are definite ones. The stamping seal is another good one, and maybe the foam strips if you're doing your shaker cards, or full sheets if you want to have a big area that you raise up off your project. So anyway, that's just a quick overview of those kind of things. And I think I'll leave it at that today. I just want to say thanks for anybody that's watching my videos so far, because I really appreciate anyone taking the time to watch me rabbit on about adhesives and things like that. But I've started just to design a few projects with some of the Christmassy things that I have, so I'll be doing those this coming week. As soon as I find my days off work, I'll know which days I can do videos. As you can probably see as well, my craft space is limited. Okay, I only have a small desk, so I've probably said that before, but you don't have to have a great big full craft room with full shelves of everything that you can stack up and store in all the colour families. It doesn't matter if you're a messy crafter, a neat crafter, or whatever. I am going to enjoy doing my videos for you, and if you've got any projects you want to share with me, that's great. If you've got any questions, that's great. And you'll soon get used to the fact I've only got a very small desk space, which is why I don't pan around my craft room as such, because it's actually my spare room in my house. So that's how it goes. But I just want to say thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see some of you again soon. Okay, bye bye.